Lauren and gang, whoever gets to see this, thank you for listening. We're talking today about understanding anxiety a bit. Oh, hello. I'm going to have some joy here. I thought that would just right. Okay, so welcome. We're hoping it will take about 45 minutes. Housekeeping, well, just to say, if you need, we're not going to have a comfort break, but we could have a comfort break, but I think probably 45 minutes we can all hold our bladders, and I hope you've been to the loo before we started. Now, oh, sorry, yes, mobile phones, well, I know that you're on your phone, Lauren, but if you weren't, or if anybody else were here, I would suggest to turn them off. And you can ask questions as we go if you like, but probably better at the end, and to be polite and kind to one another. And I was going to do evaluation, but as it's just you and Lauren, we're going to leave that. Okay. And I'm going to try using Mentimeter, so that may be a little experiment we'll have a go at again. So today's aims are to help you understand anxiety, understand how anxiety affects our bodies, and give you some techniques to help when you feel overwhelmed by anxiety. Now, I'm going to start with, oh, hello. Having technical difficulties already. What's going on? Oh, right, okay, yeah. So, I hope you're not frightened of dogs. So, why I put this up is to think about what is anxiety and what makes us anxious. Now, obviously, I'm going to pause that because I don't need to that. We all get anxiety because it's completely normal, but I was going to ask if people would, now I'm going to have to change, tell me what they think anxiety is. So now I'm going to share the Mentimeter and hope it works. So I would put in something. So if you scan the Mentimeter QR code, you can start putting, I would start putting in things. Tell me what you think. What is anxiety? What does it do?
And this is on a mobile phone, so Lauren,
oh gosh, so Lauren can't do it.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot that bit.
This is where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
Well, put it in the chat instead.
Yes, put it in the chat, Lauren. That's what we did the last time, didn't we? Brill.
Yeah,
so
put it in the chat and I'll add it to the Mentimeter.
Thanks, Terry. Any other thoughts about what is anxiety? Yeah, I think that's pretty much a lot what most of us think. Anxiety, danger, fear, threat. I would say scared, jelly legs, sweatiness. I wish I had my phone, I'd be going lots of answers here as well. So this is where I'm so like, now how do I do the next? Oh yes, there we go. I'm just getting used to Mentimeter as well. So I just wanted people to sort of say if they get anxious much. Obviously we don't have lots of people here today, so we're not going to get a lot of replies. Yeah, I think if I'm honest, most of us should get and notice that we get anxious sometimes. You're never going to not get anxious because it's completely normal. And I thought it would have been nice if people were here, more people here today, that they might say, oh yes, I definitely get anxious. Okay, so I'm going to go off this now. I've got to do this. How do I do? Ah, yes, okay, go. So now I'm going to go back to my presentation. This is so incredibly clunky, but I apologize for that. Right, okay. So, anxiety. What is it? You've started to start talking about it. It is all that fear stuff that we're talking about. Oh gosh, this is not what I want, is it? There we go. So we talk about anxiety as the fight or flight mechanism. So what we mean by that is that when we get scared or big dog, imagine a big dog jumps out at you, even if you've not got fear of dogs, it's going to make you jump and it sets you off that fight or flight mechanism. That fight or flight mechanism is that inbuilt way of helping you deal with danger. And so you're going to fight that danger or fly from that danger. So by that, fighting, obviously, I don't think I'd like to fight a dog or Alsatian, certainly not. I was brought up that when I was a child, there was lots of problems with Alsatians, so it would be really scary to me. Another option, obviously, is the fly, is the run away. So this is your body's way of dealing with danger, and it's another part of that fight or flight mechanism we've discovered more recently is also freeze, or what I would say is a bit like play dead. So sometimes you'll notice you get into a situation, you get anxious, and you just kind of feel like you're frozen and you don't know what to do and you can't speak and you're not doing anything. And that's your body again helping you deal with that danger, and you're sort of playing dead. Sometimes it doesn't work in your favor because you might be in a social situation. You're like, I want to talk. I'm not doing what I want to do. As I say, it's protective. It's most important. Do you know what? The thing about anxiety is it's actually really helpful to us. It keeps us safe. It is a normal thing. It is about keeping us safe so that if any danger does actually come, like a dog, you can actually react to it. You can get away from it. We often talk about sometimes the small part and deep within your brain we call the lizard brain, where the cortisol and adrenaline lives, that sets, when you think there's danger, gets set off and it zooms round in your body to get you ready to deal with that danger. And you need that adrenaline because, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm not that fast a runner. But if I'm going to get away from a dog, I need to be able to run quick. And, it's like those stories you've heard about superhuman people doing superhuman things. It's because of that anxiety, that fight or flight kicks off that adrenaline that helps them deal with that danger. Now, what I'd like to think about is what makes people anxious. Now, we had something like this. I'm going back into Mentimeter. Sorry, I'm going to be a pest with it. So I like people to just let me know what makes them anxious. Now I'm going to go into my other. So I've got a different, because I'm just learning with the Mentimeter. So bear with me. Here we go. Oh, where's me thing? I thought, do I get another?
It's okay, you can.
Oh, there we go.
Use the code at the top. Oh, all right.
I've got my code up. So I just like people to say, just put in things that make them anxious. This is making me a bit anxious, although I can't see anybody, so that makes me a little less anxious, but it still makes me a bit anxious to do presentations. And I've heard that in the UK, apparently, doing presentations is something that really is a major anxiety for people. They don't like speaking in public, particularly. I don't know if it's different in other countries. And I think of other things that make me anxious.
I've gone
I
blank.
don't have any particular fears. I get lots of patients with anxieties about injections, cannulas. Even probably the words are probably making you shiver, Lauren. So I get. Are you able to contribute anything, guys? Oh, here we go.
I've put
Doing something
in
new,
the chat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone said, I heard someone today got a bucket list, the unknown. I think the unknown, yeah, the uncertainty is always a thing. Someone said they were on their bucket list, they jumped out of an aeroplane. I think that would really scare me. I think that would definitely kick off my anxiety. But hey, I know that we're not probably going to get lots of answers today, so we'll move on. But it would be really great if we do this with more people sometime, and then we can get some answers, because I think it's really helpful for people to hear what makes them anxious. So I was just wondering, when you're anxious, what you notice in your body about your thoughts and how you behave. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to leave this and I'm going to go back to the presentation, because I just want you to think about it. If a big dog was to jump out at you, or when you've had a situation that does make you anxious, what sort of things have come up that have made you anxious? So sometimes thinking about the future, that's, I think, your health. So these are some of the things I was thinking about: medical appointments, injections, cannulas, medical procedures, bloods, oh gosh, operations, or just cleaning the house and your bedroom. I was like, oh my God.
I think I hear a lot of people saying things like going out in social situations. I think a lot of people are going out in social situations, especially somewhere they don't know or where there's lots of people around.
Yes, I think very much.
Definitely, I hear that.
So I just wanted to think about when, a dog does jump out at you or something, you're going to a social situation or you're about to get your bloods taken, what starts to happen? So just take a moment now to think about a time when you were anxious recently, and just think about what you noticed in your body when you were anxious, and what you noticed about your thoughts, and how you behaved. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm anxious, what I notice about my body is I start to get a bit sweaty, and I probably my thoughts, I would say, probably go a bit quicker, and I might even talk a bit quicker then because of that. And I'm just, like now I think, oh, am I babbling or am I doing that? So I start noticing, I'm thinking about, what am I doing? Am I doing something a bit silly, or do I look a bit silly? And then I notice I might become a bit more fidgety, or so that my behavior might change, or I might talk more quickly. That's the sort of things that I notice. So I want you to think about what you notice in yourself.
Well, yeah.
Go on.
I was going to say, I notice that often my stomach churns quite a lot, and my breathing, I suddenly think, oh yes, my breathing's become quite tense and everything's tensed up.
Yeah.
And then maybe I tense up.
Yeah. I think sometimes people get the shoulders, they say, oh, my shoulders were up by my ears. I think that's quite a common one. Or we get
and I notice in me and in people I speak to that there can be that tendency to want to avoid things. Not do the thing that's making you feel scared.
Exactly. Spot on. That is one of the major behaviors that we get when we're anxious about something, is to avoid, oh, that place, I was so anxious, I don't want to go back there. Obviously, what you don't know about that is, the problem with that is, the more you avoid it, the less you do, and the more things you avoid, and your world can get smaller and smaller, and that is a problem, because what you're doing is reinforcing that anxiety. Oh, I'm going backwards instead of forwards. How did that happen? Right. So the effects on your body. So here's just some of the quick kind of things. We've already been talking about some of it. We can feel like sweaty, breathing becoming a bit faster, because we're getting ready to deal with danger, because we want to get, oh, I need to get out of this situation. So these are some of and I've got some of the more obvious, not the less obvious things. Sometimes people often talk to me, actually, because if you've got a heart problem, you can get quite focused on your heart. So often people say, oh, I noticed my heart was going faster and I thought there was something wrong and I'm ill, or I need to go and see the doctor because there's a problem. The thing that is really important in these times is to start to recognize what's anxiety and what's your heart problem. Now, do I normally get this feeling when I've got my heart problem, or is this something different? And I have had a lot of times with patients working out what is different. So obviously when you're anxious, your heart wants to beat faster because it needs to pump the blood to the bits to help you deal with danger, which are often your arms and your legs. Because if you're going to run away, you need them, or if you're going to fight, you need them sort of ready to get ready. And so the other thing about the immune system gets repressed, but there's things about, like, you can feel sick, like Penny was saying, that's about your body doesn't need food in it, or you might need to go for a wee. I'm actually, that's a common one for me. If I feel, oh, I need to go for a wee, because your body wants to get rid of those things. It doesn't want those things in your body. It just wants to get ready to run away. So your adrenaline and your cortisol, all that's pumping around, getting you ready. So some of these things I don't really think about too much, and nobody will really notice. Releasing less growth hormone, you might not really notice that. But these are some things that are going on underneath. Okay, so another thing I think is important to know about with anxiety is the process of anxiety. Now you might say, well, why would I want to know that? Because we were talking about avoidance before. So usually anxiety as a process, it happens is, say you go into the anxiety situation. So, for example, going into a social situation, your anxiety starts to rise. Oh, it's all going to go horribly wrong. I'm going to show myself up. Or you're going for your blood. Oh my gosh, that it's all going to go wrong. There's going to be blood everywhere, or whatever it is that sets off those thoughts. So you start having those thoughts, you start tensing up, the anxiety starts to rise. So you can see the curve. So as it's going up, the catastrophe, that's what's going to go wrong. So what often people do is they escape, they leave the situation. So that's the avoidance. The problem with that, as I said earlier, and Penny was saying about it as well, is if you leave the situation, you're going to find it difficult to go back to, because you've left it at a high anxiety. And it makes it much more difficult to go back to that situation, because you think, oh my God, it's just going to be as bad, or it's just going to be, or it might be worse. And what we call that kind of behavior is safety seeking behavior, because it's our way of getting to safety. Unfortunately, it just reinforces you avoiding that thing in the future. Whereas what you need to learn is, actually, anxiety will go up, it'll get to a top, it'll plateau, and then it will come down. It just does. That's it, always is, because your body can't keep it up at that top level all the time. And the anxiety itself will not harm you. The problem is, we start to think that the signs of anxiety are a problem in themselves, and so I must avoid that. I can't feel anxiety. It's going to do something really bad to me. And what we need to learn is anxiety is normal, and we can cope with it, and it's not going to harm us, and it just passes. In fact, we need anxiety. It's good. It helps keep us safe. So you might have thought to yourself, well, why is this relevant to physical health? We've kind of been starting to talk about that. Obviously, being ill is anxiety provoking. If I get ill, I don't have a congenital heart disease, but even if I get ill, I might start thinking, oh, is there something really seriously wrong with me? My mum was a terrible hypochondriac, and one time she woke up in the night, she had terrible pain in her tummy, and she was convinced she had appendicitis. She's like, oh, she looked up all the symptoms. She didn't even have Google then, and she looked and she thought, oh my God, I've got appendicitis. I feel sick. I'm like this and that. I'll tell you what it was. She actually only had bad wind. We found out later. But she was terrified. She was genuinely really, really worried. So, I completely think, so that's someone who doesn't even have any proper health problems, so I can imagine for you guys, that uncertainty that you have to live with chronic illness all the time is like, what is that? Is there something wrong? Should I be worried about that? Do I need to speak to a doctor? It's really hard. And that in itself can begin to have an impact on your quality of life. Because if you're feeling anxious about your health, you start avoiding things. Now, we've talked about avoid. One of the things that I know is a big issue in congenital heart disease is avoiding exercise or being worried about exercise. And I also know that exercise is really good for you. It's good. And another thing, it's good for anxiety and it's good for low mood. So this not doing things because you're anxious about what might happen. If I'm worried about my health, then should I go here? And I mean, I said to you before, Lauren, and whoever listens to this, I work in heart and lung transplant as well. And I know that from a lot of my patients, they can be avoiding going to things or going out and enjoying their life because they're worried that it might have an impact on their physical health. And that means that the quality of life is not as good as they want it to be. And so avoiding anxiety is not going to make your life the quality you want it to be. So the other thing that I wanted to say is about your mind and body are not separate. So often, this always kills me because often you get, doctors can say this, oh, it's all in your mind. Your anxiety, it's all in your mind, it's not a thing. And let me tell you right now, it is not in your mind, it's in your body. It's in your body and your mind, and they're not separate and they go together. So that's, with the picture of the all the physical things that happen, your mind and body work together. So it's about accepting that and working on that. And we're going to talk about that a bit in a minute, in fact. So the impact on one another. So as I've been saying, anxiety is normal. It can feel horrible and scary. You might feel out of control, but it cannot harm you. It's a mind and body reaction. So if there's nothing else you take away from today, if you just know that it's normal, I'm hoping that starts to make you go, okay, it's all right. It's not going to harm me. Anxiety helps me, actually. If there's one thing I can say today and that you take away, is that it's normal. It will not harm you. It actually keeps you safe.
I think that's really good. Like a really good point is like telling people that it's normal to have this emotion, this feeling of urgency, of being anxious, and telling people that it's okay to feel that way. Because it's not, you're gonna get over it, and it's gonna you're gonna feel this moment for a split second, and then and you're gonna be fine.
That's right. It does that thing, that was exactly, Lauren. It comes and it goes.
Not many people know that it's normal.
Yeah,
so
that's right. But we all feel it every single, because it keeps you safe. Yeah, and
I would. Oh yeah, I was going to say, I would often say if somebody says I never feel anxious, I'd be a bit more worried and think maybe there's something a bit wrong there.
There's something, as a worry, we need to get you checked out. You've got a problem. And I just was like, it's not true, because we all get anxious, and it's safe. It keeps you safe. As I said, that's the main thing. If you take nothing else away from today, that anxiety, it is normal and it keeps you safe. So the only reason I would talk about the easy ways to lower anxiety is when you feel like it's overwhelming you and that you can't do stuff because it's getting in your way. So these are just some top tips that we know help. Reducing caffeine and alcohol, 100%. These caffeine and alcohol will increase anxiety. You might think, oh, if I have a drink, I'll feel better. No, what's going to happen is you might feel better initially, but then the next day you might feel more anxious. If you have withdrawal from alcohol and stuff like that, it's really not going to help, because the other thing is then you become reliant on it. You think, oh, I have to have that to feel better in this situation. But actually, if you just tolerate it, the anxiety will pass and you'll be like, oh, I feel all right now. I coped with that.
Just a true story that I can share. When I was a trainee, the quickest ever anxiety cure I did was when I spoke to somebody who had really bad panic and then discovered they were drinking 12 cups of coffee in the day. So I suggested maybe they might want to cut that down.
Yes, I often, that is true. And I often say to people, like, cut down the caffeine. If you drink it, if you're feeling anxious, cut it down, get decaf, start to notice the difference. Again, here's another silly thing, but eating regularly, eating fruit and veg regularly, but eating regularly will help your body regulate itself. Because sometimes people are, and another true story for you actually as well, Penny, is I had a patient that came to me. They were sleeping all weird hours. They weren't eating regularly. They were drinking lots of tea and coffee and fizzy drinks, hidden caffeine and fizzy drinks. And I was just like, do you know what? Please start sleeping at night. Cut out the coffee and the fizzy drinks and eat regularly. And they came back to me in a few weeks and went, I'm not having any anxiety now. And I was like, well, I'm sure you're having some anxiety, but it's not a problem anymore. And they were like, yeah. So exercises, again, within your limits, exercise regularly, brisk walks. If that's all you can do, go for it, because that's going to make you feel good. Getting good sleep. These things are just like taking time to do something you enjoy, even if it's just, I don't know, having a nice warm drink. Now I'm saying don't drink lots of caffeine, but just a nice warm drink. It could be a decaf tea or a hot chocolate, but just taking a moment, listen to some music that you enjoy, watching something on the TV that you particularly enjoy, or having a chat with a friend. Find something, looking out the window at the weather and just feeling nice and cozy. Sometimes that can be just taking that moment to enjoy that. Last of all, relaxation. We all think we know what relaxation is. Now, I was going to do a Mentimeter. I'm not going to do a Mentimeter about what do you do to relax, but I'm really interested in what people do to relax. Has anybody got anything that immediately comes to mind that they think, well, I always do this to relax myself? No, nothing.
I quite like doing crafty things sometimes, when you're just focusing on something.
Yeah. That is very relaxing. It makes you be in that moment. I love to go for a walk. That's one of my relaxation things. I have to have a walk every Sunday. I just go to my head. I just have to. If I'm not having my walk on the sun, I feel really like I'm missing out, because just that connecting with sort of being in the woods and nature, and I just love that. It just gives me that moment of like, yeah. I often ask people if they've got dogs. I know you have.
Yes.
Because I say,
I walk with my dog all the time. I like.
I was going to say walking. Yeah.
On the weekends I have more time, so I don't just do like an hour. It's normally like 3-4 hours, and just being outside and breathing the fresh air. And as long as I'm next to the woods or the sea, I feel. And especially like because I live near the seaside, I'm in South Shields, so if I'm down to the beach, and that's like my happy place.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, Lauren, that's spot on. I think connecting to water in some way or woods, just, I don't know, for human beings, I think it's really a great way to relax. And there are other ways as well. So I'm going to talk about some of the different ways that we can relax as well. So what is relaxation? I think very often we kind of think we know, like I often ask people, oh, what do you do to relax? And they say, oh, I watch the TV. And I'm like, I know that you feel like it is being relaxing, but it can be not relaxing, because if you're watching sort of thrillers and stuff like that, it's very kind of, oh, you know, very exciting. And so I always think it's not exactly what I would say relaxing. We've talked about what some people do to relax. I think I do slow breathing stuff as well, and I like to, sounds a bit sort of silly, but thinking about things that I'm grateful for, what I've got in my life, that helps me relax as well. So I wanted people to think about what the benefits of being more relaxed might be. I think it is surprising how relaxation can actually, not just in the moment of doing the relaxation, but in the rest of your life, how it can spread out. So here we were talking, walking on the beach. This is a bit idyllic, but so these are things that we can do. Walk in the woods, yeah, spending time by water. And here's another one. It's just like having a little bit of time to be meditative. Again, water. I've got loads of lovely pictures. So I'm not going to go into lots of, because I'm aware that my time is sort of running out, but we will pass this on to you, Lauren, and other people can take this up. But the important part of relaxation is about trying to do it regularly, having a routine, practice. The more you practice relaxation, the better. Find, you know, if you're doing something like a kind of active relaxation, like that lady was doing, sort of meditating, it's about finding that quiet space and just having a moment. Don't do it if you haven't eaten or you're feeling cold or too hot, and just find a comfortable spot. And don't judge yourself, because believe me, when you try to do relaxation, it isn't that easy. You have to find some kind of guidance. So I often say to people, find an app, something that works for you, and just stick it on. And remember that your mind is a thought-making machine, and it's going to take you all over the place. So you won't immediately go, oh, yes, I'm so chill and relaxed and meditating. You just go, oh, there goes my thoughts again. So here's another one, and I'm hoping that people will be able to sort of take screenshots and stuff of these things, or we can pass them on. So another way is about doing muscle relaxation. So it's about the progressive muscle relaxation is about tensing your muscles and then letting them relax. So sometimes you can start from the top of your head, where you might scrunch up your face and then relax that, and then go down with your shoulders, scrunch them up and then relax down. Or you can start from your toes and work your way up. So it's just about tensing the muscles and then letting them relax. Because when you tense them, you can notice that the difference. Because sometimes you think, well, I do feel relaxed, but then if you tense it, and then you can really feel it. So this is a real classic way. Another way is the calming breath. So taking some time to slow down your breathing. Can be anywhere. You can do this anywhere. Nobody will even know. You can put your hand on your tummy and just focus on breathing into that hand. And see when you're feeling anxious and you feel like it's overtaking you, you're waiting in a waiting room or something like that. This is something you can do. Or you're about to have a procedure, anything. You can just take the time, slow your breathing down. Just And then, so you breathe into your tummy, pause, and then breathe out slowly and as long as possible. I usually do a 4 in, count 2, pause, and then a 4, count 4 out, and then try and do it as long, and I just try and lengthen the out breath for as long as possible, because the out breath is the key to relaxing your whole body. And believe it or not, if you slow your breath down, it actually relaxes your inner organs, the whole bit. So yeah, I usually do counting. All right, unhelpful breathing. There are more and less comfortable ways of breathing, but when we start doing that, which can be to do with anxiety, we start hyperventilating, and it can become a bit of a habit. Now, I work with lung transplant patients. Sometimes because of their problem, they've got into a habit of that. And so when they get the transplant, they're still doing that. And you're like, you need to breathe into your tummy because that's not filling up your lungs. So the other thing about the breathing out is it can really let your lungs really fill up properly, right down deep. And it just, as I say, calms everything inside. So you just do I sometimes say, breathe out, and then just let your breath come in and just like fill up those lungs. To try and practice. Don't need to do that hyperventilating anymore. Just breathe into your tummy, and that will relax everything. More ways to lower anxiety. My last one is mindfulness. So remember I was talking about your mind being a thought-making machine? So notice those thoughts, notice those feelings, notice those body sensations, notice them. Don't reject them. Don't go, oh, I shouldn't be feeling like that, or why am I feeling like that? Oh, stop that. Oh, because the more you do that, the more it works you up. So it's just go, oh yeah, I'm having that thought again where, oh, I'm going to make an idiot of myself and everybody's going to laugh at me, or I'm going to look a right fool. Oh, okay, I'm having that thought again. Okay, you know what? That's making me feel anxious. Okay, that's just that thought. And where am I? I'm going to accept that. That's how I feel. That's what I'm thinking. And what am I doing? What's around me? What can I see? What can I hear? What can I touch? Maybe I've got a chewing gum in my pocket. I'll stick that in my mouth. What can I taste? And look around me. Be back here now. And it sounds like I make it sound simple, but I know that it's really hard. But this is a real key. It's about getting back in the room rather than stuck in your head where you go, oh no, this is going to go and that's going to, and it's all going to go horribly wrong. Let's go, okay, that's my thoughts and that's okay. And I'm here now and I've got a drink of water. I'm just going to have that drink because I want to feel what that's like. And I'll go, oh, that feels very cold, and I feel it down my throat, going down into my tummy. And when I focus on that real thing, I'm back here in the room and I'm better kind of focused on what I need to be doing, and I'm in the moment rather than lost in my head. Any questions? Oh, there's only you, Lauren. So I don't expect you to ask lots of questions. But I thank you for coming, Lauren, and thank you for listening and contributing.
No worries. I really think it's a great thing because I feel much better knowing that it's a normal thing. That anxiety is a normal thing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.